Welcome to Director Peter Hanke. Peter, you and I together started the Center for Art and Leadership in the Copenhagen Business School, together with our friend Henrik Hermansen. And you, of course, took up music, which is your profession, and immediately you transformed it into the organization and you presented leadership to this concept that music could increase both productivity and well-being in the firm.
Yes, my idea was that we could use the organization that an orchestra or a musical ensemble would be for more than metaphors of leadership and organizations. That the aesthetic values of the entity of the orchestra, both the internal work together between the musicians and the very product, the music itself, the aesthetic force, could enable something around the organizational understanding that could be projected, opened up, and be a sort of aesthetic sounding reflection that enables some of the contemporary companies' benefits and ideas, especially with knowledge workers around.
But to my knowledge, the first author who actually used the orchestra as a metaphor was Karl Marx, when he should describe cooperation and coordination of the labor process. Do you think this metaphor still fits?
In some way, yes, but we are also stuck, if we look upon the symphony orchestra, we are stuck in an idiom that is born in the 1880s. Even the suits that musicians wear in today's symphony orchestras is reflecting that time, meaning that we have a very refined, fantastic, calibrated kind of aesthetic force that we call the symphony orchestra, that is a truly industrialized way of working between the workers and the manager in front as the conductor. We can continue use this as more than a metaphor, as a model or a system example, as an organization, as long as we expect it to say something relevant about industrialized processes. If we go beyond this, we need to do something else. We need to open up the idea of the orchestra. We need to provoke the entity of the orchestra. This means that it's not only the symphony orchestra we can use as the role model for music being. I mean that chamber music activity, smaller groups like string quartets or madrigal ensembles or jazz trios or things like this are just as relevant to look at. It's an ensemble anyway, but the leadership issues are not only conductor versus ensemble, it's also a more internal understanding.
Peter, now you spoke about music in the organization in relation to ensembles. And of course the interrelations could very well be pictured through musical relations in orchestras or string quartets and so on. But today an immense stress is laid upon the person's relation to himself, self-control, and this all presupposes self-understanding. Do you think that doing music, or to see others doing music, do you think that this could enhance self-understanding?
You're focusing on the identity, the performer, which is, in my opinion, one of the best role models we can have at all when we look upon musicianship and try to project some of these values and human understandings into an organizational understanding. Because the performer reflects the modern knowledge worker quite a lot. The same sort of discipline you have to enable in your own life as a performer when you constantly, with iterations one by one, in hours long every day, you refine your elements and your way of working as both yourself, as an entity, as an I, and also with your instrument. This sort of discipline and ambition combined is a fantastic, not only metaphor, but a true picture of a self-leading person in a modern contemporary society. This means that the musician or the performer, the dancer, actor, whatever performer we could say, will have a tradition of several hundred years of personal experience embedded in all the history of these art forms that the contemporary knowledge worker actually needs. we can pour from this experience because it's embedded in the performer and has this very long tradition.
You also have rather many experiences in creating what I would call spontaneous choirs in groups of leaders.
There's a main concept of what we have developed with the Center for Art and Leadership, that is the stepping over the metaphors of the conductor and the ensemble, and inviting managers or leaders of a certain experience. They can actually step into the role of the conductor with an ensemble, especially with the vocal music, with the choir that I've trained for this, and the experiences we have now with this of more than 2,000 managers actually in this position. What do they learn from this? And the main set of metaphors and also reality is, I'm now in the middle of a group of specialists who know more about the business that I do. What shall I do? How can I inspire these guys who are the experts? My first steps into the unknown will have an immediate effect. How can I rapidly take up this information I get from my specialist and do something relevant? This is also, for me as a conductor, is somewhat true, because my musicians, they know the details at least better than I do. But for a manager who has no musical experience, this is an enlargement of the daily life experience as a manager. And to train this ability to work with specialists by the use of artists who now are the experts, helping this guy to enable the leadership sensitivity. This is a true interaction between music and leadership that I think cannot be calibrated anymore. It's a fantastic, not only tool, it is a reality where leadership can be understood from a very detailed and precise point of view.
Well, this is really inspiring. That means that the two great challenges of modern organizations and of management and leadership, on the one hand, to lead experts, people who know more than oneself and can do more than oneself can do, and on the other hand, to inspire people to self-control. You have both these concepts united.
There's one other aspect as well. I think we can look upon this as a sort of ethos of the leadership. Not only the experts surrounding you, but everybody will contain some value that is of another kind than you possess. Even people you think in the knowledge sense is not on your own level, there will be something interesting in this human being. Can you discover this? Just as a musician that you would know, well, you could play better than him or her, but you are curious upon what this human being consists of. And in this sense, you step into a sort of slightly uncomfortable zone of performance space because you wouldn't really know what these people contain. On the other hand, you raise your own confidence by getting the information from the people around you. I think this sort of change from sort of monitoring your employees, which we know from various theories in management the last 50 years or so, you step into an arena where you get seen by your employees, and you are at the same time extremely curious about what they actually contain and open up for their personal interests.